going to talk about Kenorland Minerals. It's a company we started in 2016 for the co-founders, including myself, are all exploration geologists. This is very much an exploration story. We trade on the TSX. We went public in 2020, so we're on the TSX under the symbol KLD and the OTC under the symbol KLDCF. There will be some forward-looking statements. You could see more detail on the people involved in the company on our website. Just due to the limited amount of time, I'm going to get into the presentation. So some basic information on our share structure and financial information. We have 72 million shares out, fully diluted. We're sitting on around 19.3 million in cash and around 15 million in shares in other companies that we've worked with. So 35 million in cash and shares. Our market cap is currently around 50 million, so that puts us at about a $15 million enterprise value. Our share ownership structure, it's quite tightly held with some very long-term and strong shareholders, including 23% institutional ownership. Other high net worths hold around 12% of the stock. Sumitomo Metal Mining came in last year and they bought 10% of the company as well, and management and insiders own about 34%. In terms of our total exploration budget this year, we're looking at around $30 million of exploration spent across around 11 active projects. Almost 30 million of that, 30 million of that is partner funded and around 3.7 million of sole funded exploration. So you'll see as I get into this that we are a project generator, and I'll explain a bit about that model. This is not a slide that you're going to see in most exploration companies, but I think it demonstrates how we've managed our capital and our share structure as well. So on the left side there, the total, from 2016 to 2022, we've operated around $67 million of exploration across our portfolio, and around 52 million of that has been funded through our partners. Kenorland itself is sole funded around $14.8 million of exploration. So for a project generator, you're really looking at you want to look at a high ratio of partner funded to sole funded exploration. It means we're not using our own capital to spend in the high risk environment such as grassroots or early stage exploration. In the middle there, we've raised a total of around 29 million in the company since 2016. And currently we're sitting on 19.3 million cash and almost 15 million in shares as well. So we have more value in cash and shares than we've raised in the history of the company. And part of this business model, we operate a lot of the exploration ourselves. So through that, we generate operator fees and labor fees. So we brought in around 12.4 million in income just through operating exploration and some cash payments. And our total historical G&A is about 10 million. So we operate at basically a net zero G&A. So any of the money that we raise in the company is going into the ground pretty much on a 100% basis. Our business strategy, so we look at partnering exploration projects with major mining companies. We're currently working with Sumitomo Metal Mining, Centerra, Newmont, and Antofagasta. In the past, we've worked with Freeport and Barrick. Generally, these are all fairly early stage projects, pretty greenfields, large scale. I'll get into that as well. The middle there, equity and royalty generation. So sometimes we are a little more opportunistic and we'll stake ground and vend those for equity positions and royalties. And that might be in more niche commodities like lithium, for instance, where you don't have a lot of the majors involved. And of course, we sole fund exploration. Our exploration strategy, so these are kind of the main pillars that we focus on. So safe jurisdictions, we're in Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and Alaska. Our commodity focus is generally gold, copper, nickel, and lithium. We operate on a very large scale, so we've got about 1.3 million hectares of ground that we either have direct interest in or royalty interest, so very large exposure spatially. All of our exploration is done very systematically, so these are generally big property-wide surveys, phased exploration to get to a drill target, which is definitely how the majors like to operate as well. And we look in underexplored areas and generally undercover. We like to operate in areas that are not completely depleted. So yeah, we're looking for new discoveries as opposed to following up on historical occurrences, for instance. And throughout all this, we've kind of created this exploration pipeline. So we have advanced exploration on one side on a big discovery we made with Sumitomo in northern Quebec, and on the other side, completely grassroots exploration where we're doing the first pass, kind of, geochemical sampling across the property, and there's everything in between: target generation, first pass drill testing, and et cetera. So we keep that pipeline moving. We know exploration is very high risk, and 99% of the time you're going to fail at finding something. So we like to keep, a steady pipeline of opportunities moving through the portfolio. This is where the projects are located. So again, focusing in Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and Alaska. And I'll get into these projects in more detail here. So in Eastern Canada and Quebec there, we have 3 projects that we're working with Sumitomo Metal Mining on, one with Newmont and one with Centerra. And then in Ontario, we have 100% of the South Uchi project, which is in the Red Lake District. I guess the highlight on this is on the top right there is the Frotep project. We made a greenfield gold discovery with Sumitomo in 2020. We were the first people to put the drill holes into it and discovered a high-grade vein system. Today, there's around 160 drill holes and around 60,000 meters into it. We're putting 25,000 meters of drilling into it in the first quarter this year. So that's a rapidly advancing new gold discovery with Sumitomo funding 80% of it, and we own 20, and we're co-funding in that. In Manitoba, we've really focused our efforts in the nickel space here because the Thompson Nickel Belt is one of the top 10 nickel sulfide camps in the world. And so we pegged around over 300,000 hectares of ground in the southern Thompson Nickel Belt where it goes under the Phanerozoic cover. So again, this is part of our generative strategy. And recently we've been really looking in Manitoba. In Alaska, we're working with Newmont in the Goodpaster district near the 10 million ounce Pogo gold mine, and we're working with Antofagasta on a late Cretaceous porphyry system in the Yukon-Tana terrain, which is analogous to Casino, another late Cretaceous porphyry copper system. So just to finish off here and look at the discovery we made in northern Quebec. So in 2017, we staked 56,000 hectares of greenstone. We brought Sumitomo in 2018. We collected about 6,000 till samples, which is what you see here on the map, and we identified a large dispersion plume in the glacial till. We put the first drill holes in 2020, and we made a very high grade, big gold discovery there. So that's been exciting. And as I mentioned, to date, there's around 160 drill holes into it. And you can see there, the black traces on the map are what we have planned for the first quarter this year. So we're being very aggressive in terms of stepping out and growing the footprint there. And this is another angle of the vein system. There's about 1.5 kilometers of strike, multiple vein sets, definitely has multi-million ounce potential. And of course, we're working with a very experienced major mining company like Sumitomo, who has operations globally with narrow vein, high-grade vein systems. So that's it. I'd just like to point out a couple highlights here. The team is really important. We have a team of highly skilled explorationists and geoscientists, and we're all focused on the discovery of new mineral deposits. We have a very strong cash position and a revenue-generating business model, so financially we're in a good position there. We have a steady pipeline of exploration projects as well being advanced with major mining companies such as Sumitomo, Newmont, Centerra, and Antofagasta. And we have a huge exploration budget this year, $29 million of partner-funded exploration across the portfolio. And we're advancing a major high-grade gold discovery in Quebec that's held under joint venture with one of those majors. And we also have direct royalty interests in 1.3 million hectares of ground across North America. So our shareholders have a huge exposure to additional discoveries, which we are attempting to make going forward. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time.